Good afternoon in Saskatchewan. If you're watching me from somewhere else in Canada, let me know where you're watching from. If it's Saskatchewan, New Brunswick, Ontario, BC. I know I have viewers from kind of all over the place on very different platforms. But yes, welcome. Today is Tuesday, December 10th. And we've got some interesting subjects to touch on. I have three, but I do have a lot of information to a different perspective from different people on those subjects as well. But yes, welcome to your daily dose of salt and light with myself, Nadine Ness. We're going to talk about what's happening worldwide, what's going to happen what's happening in Canada, and also how it's affecting us Canadians, what our elected officials, government is saying about it. But yeah, these are going to be heavy topics again. I don't shy away from that. And I'm going to try to end it with some fun, light stuff. I kind of realize I want this to have positive. I want my viewers to leave this with feeling positive, not necessarily doom and gloom. And sometimes it's hard not to get to the doom and gloom when you're talking about world news, because it seems that's pretty much all that's happening. But yeah, I'm gonna have fun with this too, because some of the things I find were actually hilarious. But I'm gonna start with the big thing that just happened today. But yeah, if you're just coming on, tell me where you're watching from. Lanita, I don't know how to say. Is it Guti is watching from Calgary, formerly Saskatchewan. So welcome on the show. But yeah, if you're watching from somewhere else, let me know. Even if it's from Calgary, let me know. But we'll get started with the first subject here. So I don't know if you've seen, but the drama between Trudeau and Trump continues. So this was not posted on Twitter. So if you're looking for this on Twitter, you won't be able to find it. This was posted on Truth Social. So a lot of the posts that Trump makes is on Truth Social. Some is on Twitter. But anyways, this one is one of the ones that's on Truth Social. It was a pleasure to have dinner the other night with Governor Justin Trudeau of the great state of Canada. I look forward to seeing the governor again soon so that we may continue our in-depth talks on tariffs and trade, the result of which will be truly spectacular for all. DJT, so Donald Jr. Trump. Yeah. Yeah, so if I feel like this is a little bit too high. If you haven't been following, this happened after Trump announced 25% tariffs on Canadian. And the severity of that would be massive. 40% of our economy is on exports to the US. 60% of our exports are to the US, not and then the rest is to the rest of the world. So that those numbers don't hold me to the exact number. It might be like give or take 10%, but this is what I remember from hearing Pierre talk about and some of the other people as well. So if there's a 25% tariff, that's going to greatly affect our economy. Basically, he said, unless you start securing your borders, we're going to be doing this. So I think this was a way to create pressure for Canada to start taking our borders seriously. Now, following that, Trudeau had a phone call with Trump, and Trump kind of joked and said 16 seconds later he was on a flight to Mar-a-Lago. I always butcher it. Marlo. Oh, what is it now? I gotta Google it. Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago. Anyways, that's like Trump. That's where everyone is right now with Trump. That's where his whole team is. They've kind of been planning for when they take government. That's kind of where they're hanging out. Anyways, Trudeau went and flew there. I'm just going to see if I can bring up a photo. And while he was there, Trudeau said to Trump, and I'm paraphrasing here, said to Trump, if you do these tariffs, it's going to kill Canada. And then Trump said, well, then maybe Canada can, if you can't stop taking advantage of us in the tune of $100 billion, maybe Canada can become the 51st state of the US and Trudeau can be its governor. So it was said at a table, kind of joking. Someone else said, well, wait a minute, that would make it a blue state, a Democrat state, because Canada is more Democrat. And Trump is like, well, maybe we can switch it into 2 states and Trudeau can be the governor of one and we'll find another governor or something like that. So this was at the dinner. It was said in gist, in joke, but then it's kind of started trending. It made international news. Trudeau didn't respond the way I think he should have. So he kind of backtalked Trump a bit. So I think Trump is continuing on. Now, do I think this is actually going to happen, that we're going to have an insurrection or whatever, a takeover of Canada? No. I think this is just Trump's way of creating pressure on Canada to deal with our borders. And I think also to create pressure for potentially us to get another prime minister. So why do I think that? Well, it's clear that Trump doesn't like Trudeau. I shared some videos a couple episodes ago. I think it was last Thursday, videos on what Trump has said about Trudeau and why and stuff. I don't have them here. I figure if you watch the other episode, I'm going to put a pin to the other one. It was last Thursday. So if you watch that, it's clear Trump doesn't like Trudeau. Now, Trudeau's response to the dinner, not to this. I don't know what his current response is to this tweet. This went out this morning. Yeah, or late last night at 12:06 a.m. So that's when Donald Trump posted that in the middle of the night. So I don't know what Trudeau's response is to that particular tweet. However, he's responded to the meeting with Trump, and I'll see if I can share a clip with you guys. I'm just going to. He said several things that I think is going to piss off. I thought I had it saved here. I'm just going to bring it up top because then I'll play it. I can play it down below here, but you won't hear it. So I'm just going to switch it up here. Give me a second. I'm still getting used to all of this new technology here.
That tariffs,
so President-elect start it again. So this was, Trudeau was at the Halifax Chamber of Commerce. He was getting interviewed. This is one of the statement he said. He said a lot of dumb things during that interview. This is one of them. I'm going to share another one with you later on. Here.
President-elect Trump got elected on a commitment to make life better and more affordable for Americans. And I think people south of the border are beginning to wake up to the reality that tariffs on everything from Canada would make life a lot more expensive for Americans. So that's part of the argument. The other part is we will, of course, as we did 8 years ago, respond to unfair tariffs in a number of ways. And we're still looking at the right ways to respond. But our responses to the unfair steel and aluminum tariffs were what ended up lifting those tariffs last time. It wasn't that Americans were paying more for their steel and aluminum, although that was annoying to some people in the States. It was the fact that we put tariffs on bourbon and Harley Davidsons and playing cards and Heinz ketchup and cherries and a number of other things that were very carefully targeted because they were politically impactful to the president's party and colleagues. was how we were able to punch back in a way that was actually felt by Americans.
Punch back by putting tariffs on ketchup. What was the other things he said? I got distracted by the comments, but I listened to it earlier. Bourbon, Harley Davidson. Let's compare it to the tariffs that Trump is putting on Canada. Our entire natural resources, our wood products, on we're going to compare with bourbon and playing cards. Sorry, I just find that comical. It's a sad state that this is his response. But he also responded funny in another way. I'm going to see if I can find it here. While I got to find it here. Again, I think it's comical that Trump is going in this direction. It just goes to show how much of a joke he thinks of Trudeau. You don't see Trump doing this with any other world leader, let alone a G7. He's basically making a mockery of Trudeau. And like, I don't know how much more of a mockery he could be making of Trudeau. And that just shows how he has no respect for Trudeau. And I think it's a big part too. He knows that the Canadian people want a different government. I'm sure he's seen the polls that Pierre is polling way up high. And the only reason Trudeau is still in power in a minority government is because the alliance between Trudeau, the Liberal Party, and the NDP that Canadians didn't vote for. That happened after the fact. It's not like people who voted NDP knew that was going to happen. But I'm trying to find it here because I wanted to see Pierre's response, and I might have forgotten to add that. Here, Justin Trudeau. He had said other things as well. Oh, this one. I'm going to share this video too. This is part of the other dumb stuff he said. So Jason James here says, Justin Trudeau insinuates that Trump is the result of ignorant Americans and urges Canadians not to vote in a similar way. This guy is literal poison to everything. No need to secure our borders. We'll just torch it. Those are strong opinions. But yeah, let's listen to this part here.
Thank you for your thoughtfulness. I hope some of the things I said actually, pierce through the haze of challenging situations everyone's in. Canadians are fundamentally thoughtful about the kind of future we want, the kind of solutions we're going to put forward to improve our communities, to improve our neighborhoods, to build a better set of opportunities for our kids. And every election is about that as we approach at what will be an election year next year. And my only request for everyone is to be really thoughtful and go into the choices you make with eyes wide open. I think there's a number of folks in different countries, and I won't point out any particular one, where folks are going to be wondering about the choice they may be made in elections. Let's not be that kind of country in Canada. Let's be deliberate about the choices we make. If we want to stop fighting climate change, if we want to re-legalize assault-style weapons, if we want to put back into question women's rights, if we want to scrap $10 a day childcare across the country and stop delivering free dental care to vulnerable seniors, then in a democracy, that's a choice people can make. Get rid of the CBC too. That's a choice people can make.
We'll make that choice proudly.
Let's take on the responsibility as electors, as thoughtful agents of change in our communities, to be smart about, no matter how much we want change, let's not fall into an easy trap of voting for change for the worse. Canadians deserve better, and I know they're going to pick it. Merci tout le monde.
I know they're gonna pick it. What is it that the polling right now is happening? I'm gonna see if I can find it. The current polling for CBC. So right now, I think Pierre is polling at like way super majority. I think the NDP and the Bloc Québécois are ahead of the Liberal Party as well. I just gotta see here. I'm gonna search it.
And playing cards and Heinz ketchup.
Oops.
And
We just had it shared in a group chat just recently, so I'm gonna see if I can find it. And then I'll share it with the... No, I'm not Googling it. I'm searching on Twitter. Okay. This one was 17 hours ago. Oh, this doesn't show the seats. It just shows the general polling. Where's the one with the seats? I'll share this one anyways, while I look for the other one. So 42%. That was a December 6th poll done by telephone. If there was a change from the current federal election. I'm going to see if I can find the other ones. I like the ones that show the seat projection. Those ones are usually really good. And that's the other thing that you have to keep in mind is that most of the time, if you look back in history, the polling was always less for the Conservative than the actual vote. So from everything that I noticed in the last few years, that was the case. But yeah, 42%. That's not the seat projection. That's just the general voting. Bloc Québécois is at 6. And that was the other poll that I saw was showing the seats for the Bloc Québécois. If someone's watching in the comments and you have a link to the one that I'm describing, I'll see if I can find it. I'll look for it in another. There's another one here. I'll see if I can share this one. This one was November 25th. Here, I'll move it down here. There you go. 47. I'm just going to see what the details are for this one. Main Street Research. So if you're following Polling Canada, they're not the ones doing the polls. They just publish all the polls that are happening. So that was November 16, 2024. So about less than a month ago. But there was one with the seat projection. I'll see if I can find it and then share it. So Trump knows Canadians want a different government. They know that we're basically being held hostage. Not literally, but sort of. We're sort of being held hostage by this alliance that we didn't necessarily vote for between NDP propping up Trudeau. And it's funny because just before the provincial election, Jagmeet Singh said he was ripping up his agreement with Trudeau. I think it was just to give a chance more to the NDP provincially. And I've talked about this before. People say, well, federal province is different. No, NDP is the one party where it's the same party, whether it's provincial or federal. If you buy a membership to the provincial party, you own a membership to the federal party, NDP. Same thing if you buy a membership to the federal NDP party, you own a membership to the provincial. The funds go to both, and they're governed and guided by both. Will there be some MLAs that will not follow the party line. Yeah, there's been that. There's been some who vocally said they were against the carbon tax in hopes to probably get more vote, even though ideologically they're not. They're pushing for more things to be put in place to stop climate change. So, but they'll say the right things in hopes to getting your support. So, but yeah, it's the same party. However, so I think that's why he had come out strongly against, basically against Trudeau at the time. I think it was just bluffing or whatever you want to call it. So let's keep going into what some of the people are saying about this post by Trump. So Ezra Levant, if you don't follow Ezra Levant, he's with, he founded Rebel News. Anyways, he says, of course, this is hilarious. Trump is a natural entertainer and jokester, but it is also a disaster for Canada. Trump simply doesn't respect Trudeau. He doesn't take him seriously, and he's willing to show that to the whole world, which is so very true. Now you have the leader of US, which is one of the most powerful countries in the world, making fun of Trudeau basically and doing so publicly. So Ezra makes a really good point here. Let's see what else. I want to see too what else is being said. So this is another one. Danielle Smith, she was just in, where was it? She was at a conference. She's been at a conference this week. She did a tweet. I'm going to read it out for the listeners who aren't watching and who are listening. It was a pleasure to meet with South Dakota Governor and the President, Donald Trump's nominee for the next U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. We had a great chat about Alberta, how Alberta is working to strengthen security on our shared borders and enhance the critical trade relationship between our great nation. Just so you know, too, Danielle Smith is going to be going to Trump's inauguration. So she had already announced that. So I find it a little bit entertaining to see, like, okay, is she gonna vouch for maybe not all of Canada, maybe just annex Alberta? I don't know. but I do think, like, having these discussions is really important for Danielle Smith. I haven't seen anything come out of Scott Moe on this. It doesn't mean it hasn't happened. I just haven't been notified, and I have it set so that I get all the notification from Scott Moe as to what they're doing. And I haven't seen anything kind of regarding that subject, but I've seen Danielle Smith kind of embrace connecting and building relationship with the US. Because when you think about it, Trudeau has deliberately targeted Alberta's economy with a lot of the policies that he has passed. Alberta is hurting because of Trudeau being in government. So it would be more beneficial for Alberta if we had a different government that embraced our natural resources. And I don't think that's going to be Trudeau. So I think that building this relationship is creating even more pressure for a change in government in Canada. And I think most Albertans, most common sense Albertan would want that, because they know Alberta will thrive more if we get a change in government, let's say to a conservative government who is pro natural resources. So yeah, so it was interesting to see that. I wanted to share that with you guys. Now the next subject, we'll see what will happen when it comes to the relationship between Canada and the US. It's a new development. It's completely changed the landscape, even online on Twitter, just in the last like few weeks, to see the camaraderie between on the conservative side, especially, maybe not on the left side, but on the conservative side, the camaraderie that's happening between Americans and Canadians. I've even seen that. I've had like people say, hey, all our US people, since we're building relationship with Canadians, here are Canadians to follow. And I was in that list, and I've had a lot of Americans follow me. My follower base, though, on my Twitter account, I will also say I just hit 50K followers yesterday or today, whatever, throughout the night it went up. And I was looking at my follower base. I thought there'd be a lot more Americans, but no, I'm 76% Canadian, and majority of the rest are Americans, and then there's some from other countries. Nigeria is like a 1 to 2%, which I thought was funny. As it was one of the ones that was listed. So maybe I have some Nigerian prince following me. But yeah, it's interesting to see that relationship kind of budding between the conservatives on the US side and the Canadian side. You've seen a lot of conservative commentators saying, we're coming to liberate you, Canada, and things like that. And it's all in just fun. They're not actually going to start war with Canada to take over Canada. I don't think that's actually going to happen. I don't think we're living that kind of time. Maybe hundreds of years ago that would have been something that would be considered, but I don't think I don't think it would be beneficial for the US to do that. If I'm truly honest, I don't think they'll pull for that. I think he's just going to continue trying to put pressure on Canada, whether it's to secure our borders, whether it's to put pressure on a change in government so that the people of Canada has the government that they want to represent them. So I shared this tweet yesterday about Syria. So opposition fighter, this was before Assad was overtaken. So Trump had posted this and said, look, let's stay out of it. Let's wait and play it out. Now, I'm going to share also the takes of a few other people, but this was Justin Trudeau. Idiotic tweet. The fall of Assad's dictatorship ends decades of brutal oppression. A new chapter for Syria can begin here, one free of terrorism and suffering for the Syrian people. Canada is monitoring this transition closely. We urge order, stability, and respect for human rights. This tweet just shows how uneducated, unserious, and idiotic and wacko, I'm going to use that term, Justin Trudeau is. The people who have taken over or kicked out Assad are a terrorist organization. You're not taking out terrorism, oppression for a free, democratic run Judeo-Christian or you're trading it for another terrorist organization. And just to share what I mean by that, so Kirk, if you don't follow Kirk, I highly recommend you do. He shares a lot of really good information. He's one of the smartest people I know. And so he said, by the way, the group that took over Syria, Hayat Tahrir, I don't know how to say it. So until I figure out how to say it, I'm just going to not say it. And one that got praise and celebrate for Syria to be terrorism free by Justin Trudeau and the Liberals are actually a listed terrorist group by the government of Canada for over 10 years now, with their goal is to establish an Islamic state under Sharia law. We have complete idiots running this country, and I fully agree. So these are some of it talks about the terrorist organization. But yeah, it was listed as a terrorist organization November 7th, 2013. Oh, November 7th, 2013. So it was several years ago. But yeah, and they're saying, oh, they're free. They're free. This is how, I don't want to use dumb because I feel like that's an insult. And I try to stay away from insult, but I have a hard time to stay away from it because it described Justin Trudeau right now. And so he sat down and is being praised for saying this. I don't know who this guy is. I didn't look him up, but Trudeau is meeting with him and he's celebrating what just happened in Syria. Now, you got to understand too what this means for Christians in Syria. So there are 200,000 Christians who live in Syria, and all of them are extremely afraid right now because they know the persecution is coming. It's already started. They already started defacing and damaging and burning Christian churches in Syria already. And many of them are afraid of being killed, murdered, all of that. And there's 200,000 of them. Obviously, they were already living there. They were already living under Assad regime. He wasn't necessarily murdering all of them, but now there's fear that that's going to happen now in Syria. I'm going to see another person who talked about this, Vivian Berkovici. She used to be the ambassador of Israel. She says it's painfully clear that PM Justin Trudeau just blathers without caring or understanding. These jihadist rebels who now control Syria are all about human rights, Justin. Unbelievable that this guy is prime minister. It's so true. I'm going to see what else here I have on this. So, okay, if that statement is not the right statement, what would be a right statement? And I'm going to share with you what I think should have been the right approach on this. But I've just got to switch screens here. This is Pierre was asked about it. No, I'll just play it and then I'll share my thoughts on that.
Do you have any thoughts on the fall of the Assad regime in Syria and anything that Canada could or should do to help restore stability to the region?
Well, first of all, Assad was a puppet for the tyrants of Tehran. He has carried out genocides against the Sunni people in his own country. And now he appears to have been toppled. We don't know who will replace him, but I don't think we should get involved in that mess. It's not our fight. We should stand with our allies, including Israel, against the terrorists. And we should focus on protecting our own country. Because after 9 years of Trudeau, we've never been so vulnerable and so at risk. He lost control of our borders, lost control of our spending, lost control of our security, lost control of crime. He's allowed terrorists to come into our country, even after they've been videotaped mutilating human beings in other parts of the country and other parts of the world. And what we need now is a strong leader who will put Canada first. My only concern is Canada. We need, for a change, a prime minister who will put this country and its people first. And that's what I will do. Thank you.
Anyone disagree with that? That was a really well answered question. Put Canada first. Now there's another video that I thought was really interesting. It was a debate. So this debate would have happened in 2015. Is that 2015 when the election was where Justin Trudeau won? And in this particular debate, they talk about Syria, because I don't know if you guys remember when the war in Syria first happened. This would have been back in 2015. And Harper was basically saying, I think we should stay out of it. And then there was talks about taking in Syrian refugees. And I don't know if you guys remember, there was a video or a photo. It was a like 2 or 3 year old that was face down on a beach, and he was dead. You could clearly see he had drowned. And it was a video that just hit you right in your gut. Like, you realize, like, innocent people are dying, and that's happening everywhere in the world. And I'm not trying to minimize that. That was happening even in Syria when Assad was in charge, like Pierre said. Now, what I'm finding disgusting of Trudeau is basically saying now they're going to be much better off. I don't think that's going to be the case. You're trading in one terrorist organization for another terrorist organization. And I see this evil as being, someone said, like, sometimes we have this discussion, or people who are non-believers have this discussion, well, why would God allow that? And my response to them, evil exists where God doesn't. Evil is the absence of God, as in you haven't given God the territory in your life or in your community, in your that's where that's the natural state is evil. The only time there's no evil is when there is God, and real God, not people using religion to push their own agenda. You've seen that many times in the past. But when you look at the countries who have the most horrific death and evil thrives, it's the countries that don't have Jesus. So, and I'm not saying that there's no one who's done evil in the name of Christianity. They didn't follow the scripture when they did. But yeah, anyways, I don't know if you guys remember that little boy, 2 or 3 years old, and I honestly believe that's what um caused the fall of Harper and his popularity in Canada, because the media was able to paint him as a heartless, uncaring person. And I remember that because I believe that. I told you guys I actually voted for Trudeau that year, and I didn't like Harper. I believed everything the media was saying. I used to be like a brainwashed idiot. Obviously, if I voted for Trudeau. But yeah, I remember that time. I remember how they painted him. And but Harper warned about what would happen if Trudeau became prime minister. And in this interview, in this debate, he talks about this. But I'm gonna play it for you guys because I think it's important that we get reminded of what. And yeah, some in the comments might say Harper signed us up to the UN. I'm not saying Harper was perfect. I'm just bringing a point here on what he said was going to happen with Trudeau. And he kind of talked about the Syria and refugees.
Well, let me just correct the record on a couple of things.
Refugees are about the economy, David.
Trudeau said about refugees. First of all, the fact of the matter is we have not taken away health care from immigrants and refugees. On the contrary, the only time we've removed it is where we have clearly bogus refugee claimants who have been refused and turned down. We do not offer them a better health care plan than the ordinary Canadian can receive. I think that's something that most new and existing and old stock Canadians agree with. On the issue of refugees, this remains one of the largest countries in the world in terms of refugee resettlement, including from Syria and Iraq.
Mr. Harper.
I have said we will bring in more, but what I have said we will not do. These guys would have had in the last 2 weeks us throwing open our borders and literally hundreds of thousands of people coming without any kind of security check or documentation.
And that's
some other
not true,
countries have
Mr.
done.
Harper.
That would have been an enormous mistake.
See,
we're following a balanced approach. We're bringing more refugees.
Fears all the time. Fears of others, fears of different communities.
And we're taking
we have a prime minister who prefers to pander to fears.
Let's go to Mr. Mulcair.
That's not right.
Wow. And what has happened since? Literally, Harper said this is what Trudeau would do, and this is exactly what Trudeau did. So he was right. And I remember I shared on my show a few days ago, or it was last week. I'm going to see if I can find it again. A tweet by Justin Trudeau about Canada being open for all refugees. I'll see if I can find it here. It was in my bookmark, but I should have remembered to bring that up here. I'm just going to see. It might take me a bit to find it. If you're watching, especially if you're watching on Twitter, add it in the comments. That might help me. I'll see if I can find it when I'm playing another video. But yeah, it's interesting to see, like Harper said, that's what was going to happen, and look at how Trudeau has basically opened our borders, not just to Syrian refugees, to all sorts of refugees. We've had record numbers of immigration to the point where it's driven the cost of living way up. It's driven the cost of housing up. We have way more immigration coming in than we can accommodate with housing. And it's funny because Trudeau actually talks about this in his interview. But in one of the interviews, I don't know if I have already closed it here. The same one he was in Nova Scotia, he talked about this. But he didn't take the blame for it. He basically said that it's because provinces, because corporation don't want to pay, basically because Canadians don't want to do the job, so we had to bring immigrants in to do the job because Canadians can't or won't. That's what he used. That was his exact words. Canadians can't or won't do these jobs, so we had to bring people in. So he's blaming it on the businesses. He's blaming it on Canadians, not on the fact that he's completely incompetent and just has had open borders. I'm trying to see if I can find it. It was one of the videos that I had. I had bookmarked it, so maybe I'll just go back and quickly look. Oh, here it is. I'll share the screen with you guys.
On immigration. The situation.
Here you go. Where he blames you Canadians for the border crisis and the immigration crisis.
Situation we are in on immigration traces back to the pandemic. For 2 years during the pandemic, our borders were closed. And with that came, as we bounced back in our economy, a shortage, a labor shortage that everyone felt across the country. You couldn't find workers to work in our factories, our fish plants, our restaurants.
Pause this for a second. You know why you couldn't find workers to work? Because the government was giving them CERB. The government was giving them more money than if they were to work, or close to the same amount. So why would they go work when the government's giving them everything they need to survive? That's why you couldn't find it. I know that because we were trying to find a nanny at the time and to help with the kids and stuff, and we couldn't find one. Because we would have had to pay them $5,000, $6,000 a month. That nobody can afford that for childcare. But that's what we would have had to pay, because if you compared it to CERB, they just made more not working and not doing anything. But yeah, Trudeau wants to ignore that fact.
So, business community, provinces, everyone said to the federal government, we need many more temporary foreign workers to get our economy back rolling. It's been precarious for the pandemic. We need this. And we did that. We boosted the number of temporary foreign workers massively. And international students increased massively as well across the country.
He did it for you guys, for the provinces and for the businesses.
The problem was, once that got going, it was great, but it started to create other pressures. Rents here in Halifax started to shoot up because those international students didn't have enough residences provided for them by the universities. The problem was a challenge here. It was much more of a problem in Ontario, where there was a systemic exploitation of international students in the university equivalent of puppy mills, where kids were, committing suicide. People would sell their farm back home to send their kid to Canada to get a good education, and they'd come here and it would be complete frauds. And the provinces weren't doing their work on making sure that these kids were going to properly accredited institutions, and nobody was making sure that there was proper lodging for these kids. And they ended up just scattering through communities, driving up the rent for everyone. So we had to say, okay, we're going to put a pause on immigration over the next couple of years to allow our economy, our home building programs that are going, to catch up. so that we can get back on the track we were on before the pandemic, which we get back on with 2027. This pause gets us back to the linear, steady increases that we projected before the pandemic. But it allows our economy to catch up. It allows universities to build residences for their international students. And it allows our economies and the services and the opportunities to be there to bring in international students, to bring in high-skilled and in some cases low-skilled international workers to do the jobs that Canadians can't or won't do, but to do it in a way that is sustainable, in a way that will make sure that one of Canada's greatest advantages in the world is protected. And that is the fact that Canadians remain, even as the world is turning away, Canadians remain positive around immigration, because we know it creates growth, it creates opportunity, it's created this country in so many different ways, but it has to be done right and responsibly, and that's exactly what we're doing.
He wants us to be positive about immigration. He wants us to be happy about the amount of immigration he's let in. I'm trying to find the tweet while we were watching that. And I'm sorry also to make you listen to Justin Trudeau. If you're like me, you're probably thinking, I don't even want to hear his voice. It just brings out negative emotions. But I'm trying to find it here. I remember seeing it and I shared it, but I've had a hard time. I had saved it, but it was directly from Trudeau. Do you guys, any of my followers, have it? He basically just said, Canada is open for business. We're going to let all, that might have been what he even called it, but I was trying to find it, but I can't find it. So he basically told all the refugees come to Canada. I just realized too, I forgot to play a video earlier when we were talking about Trump and Canada and annexing Canada. I'll play it now, but this is Jesse Waters. He's trying to sell his viewers on why Canada becoming the 51st state would be good for the US. Anyways, again, it's entertainment. I'm going to play it just for fun.
Let's just be clear. We're not going to make Canada the 51st state. We'll make it 51 and 52. You make Western Canada, that'll be Republican. Eastern Canada, that'll be Democrat, so you keep the electoral balance there. So many reasons to make this a state. It's I think it has the third largest oil reserves in the world.
Oh, a lot.
So that makes us an energy behemoth. It's the most well-educated country in the world because we need a little help in that department. Talk about mining, agriculture, fishing, AI, tech, real estate, Canada, you name it, they got it. We'll never probably lose another Winter Olympics. We'll have all of their skaters and skiers. Wow. I mean, good luck, Sweden. And they share our cultural heritage. They share our language. It's just a no-brainer. Now, I don't know if Canada is going to go along with it, but there's ways to maybe change their opinion.
Do you want to end it there?
I'll end it there.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
The army is minuscule, but that's fine. We'll pay to protect them as a state. But we're doubling the size of the country, America. Think about it.
Thank you, Jeff.
Anyways, I thought it was comical. He did make some good points. We have a pretty strong Olympic team. Winter Olympic team. Anyways, it's funny because they're all laughing and joking. And it is a joke. I think this is kind of creating even a more, in the long run, I think an even more positive relationship between the US and Canada. But they're obviously joking, but the left in Canada are just losing their mind saying, oh, there's going to be an insurrection, there's going to be a takeover, a war, whatever. I think they just don't understand.
Just be clear, we're not
Trump.
going to make
They've demonized him so much and lied about him so much in the media. Why do I know that? Because I used to believe everything they said and I was fooled. I was brainwashed by the media. But then I've started kind of doing my own research and learning about who Trump actually is. And actually, there was a story that I wanted to share about that. I'll share it right now. I was going to share it later, just to give you an idea of who Trump actually is, not who they're trying to portray him. But yeah, Maria said, Jesse pumped us up nicely. You know what? It's so true. Canada has so much to give, so much to offer, not just to the US, to the world. But the problem is we're run by a tyrant, an uneducated idiot, so much so that he's kind of destroyed Canada to the point where we've become so weak to the world, so weak in our natural resources, so weak in every single way. But I do honestly believe if we have a change in government, we're going to see a huge change in prosperity for Canada. But yeah, I'm going to show you a little tidbit of who Trump actually is, not who the media portrays him to be. And this is a tweet. I don't know who this guy is, but he explains the situation. I've heard of this before, and I'm going to share it with you guys. I just got to get it on the right screen. So this was before he was president. So before he was president, Trump bought an estate in West Palm Beach, Florida. He put a 50-foot flagpole and flew a U.S. flag on it. The city council told him that he could not have a 30-foot pole, a 50-foot pole. I think that's a typo. But he refused to take it down. They told him that they would fine him $1,000 a day until he took it down. He said, fine, that's chump change. When the fine reached $120,000, he went to the city council and made a deal. He would lower the flag to a 30-foot pole if he could donate the $120,000, basically the fine, right off to help veterans, to the Veterans Affair, to which they agreed. He took the 50-foot pole down and had a landscape company come in and build a 20-foot hill where the pole was and put a 30-foot pole on it. That's why we love the guy, the post says. So not only does the flag still stay at the same height, he got to donate 120,000. He got the town to agree to donate the 120,000 to Veterans Affair. And yeah, he problem solved. He built a 20-foot hill where he put the 30-foot pole on it. But see, that's Trump. He's is it ingenuous like that? Like he problem solves. But anyways, I think that's what he's doing with Trudeau. Let's see what else. Okay, the next subject. I'm going to make sure I didn't miss anything here. I was trying to find that tweet he did. Okay, the next subject is a serious subject. Daniel Penny acquitted of criminal negligent homicide in subway chokehold death of Jordan Neely after more serious manslaughter charge was dismissed. So, criminal negligent homicide is what the charge was still. So it wasn't murder. Manslaughter is like when somebody dies, but you did something to contribute to it, even though you weren't like trying to. So for a perfect example of that, let's say you set a trap on your property and someone comes through and dies because of the trap you set on your property. That could be manslaughter. So it's not, you didn't try to kill that specific person, but they ended up dying and it was a result of some type of action you had. But that's, they dropped that last, that was dismissed, but that it went to the jury with criminal negligent homicide. I don't think we have necessarily that in Canada. Maybe we do. I just can't remember. But anyways, he was acquitted. If you don't know who Daniel Penny is, there was a gentleman, and I say that lightly. I'm going to see if I can find the case here that talks about it. You can kind of see a photo here. So this guy here in the photo was going insane on the train, threatening people. Witnesses says he was saying, I don't give I won't say that word because it's swearing and I don't want to swear. I don't give a D. I will kill a mother something. I'm ready to die. So some of the people, witnesses on the train, was extremely afraid. So Daniel Penny, he's a former, was it Marine? Army guy. I'll find out what it is so I can correct the record. But he subdued the guy along with other people who were on the train to try to protect the people that were there. He put him in a chokehold. There is risk when you put someone in the chokehold of death. It's something that we are warned as police officers. Like when I was a police officer, we're taught on how to do this. And I'm going to give you guys kind of the story. So it used to be you could put someone in a chokehold if you feared that they were going to hurt someone or just cause bodily harm. Because of the risk associated with chokehold, when I went through training, it had upgraded to a more dangerous situation. So you couldn't just do if you feared bodily harm. You could only do it if you feared grievous bodily harm or death. In this particular situation, like if I was a police officer in that situation, I would have feared grievous bodily harm or death. I would have been justified to put him in a chokehold as a police officer because the risk is less than the benefit that it creates. So it would have been in Canada as a police officer, it would have been justified based on that. Now, that same justification also apply in defense law, self-defense law in Canada. If you're a regular citizen and you know how to do this, if the benefit of you doing it outweighs the risk of doing it, then you're still justified to do the self-defense, whatever rule. It's all on the justification in the criminal context. So based on the evidence that I saw, he was threatening to kill people. He was losing it. And these are things that they knew at the time when they did this. There was a lot more that they didn't know that was later found out. Like this man was actually a very violent man who had committed offense against vulnerable people before in the train situation. He had been arrested for it. So I'm gonna bring up that tweet that talks about that. Give me a second. I want to make sure I got the right one. So Vivek talks about he kidnapped a 7-year-old girl. He punched a 64-year-old man in the face. There's actually a video that I have. So I'm going to share the video of Vivek. I actually really like Vivek. So here, I'll share the video and we'll listen to it.
I'm proud to see the American people actually rising up. You don't just vote every day, you vote with your dollars too. And I like to practice what I preach. And that's why I've been encouraging others. It wasn't just my donation. I've been encouraging others to do the same thing. Look, let's take the lesson of this day. Jordan Neely, this is somebody who should have never been on the streets free to do what he did. Abducted a 7-year-old, reportedly assaulted a 67-year-old. If the New York police departments had been doing their jobs, had been allowed to do their jobs, then this incident would have never happened. And I want to make sure that this individual who actually appears to have been taking action for a guy who was supposedly actually issuing threats to others on the train, I want to make sure he receives a fair defense. I think it's important that we regain confidence in the rule of law in this country. And I think it says that many Americans are hungry for the same thing, which I take as an encouraging sign for where the hearts and minds of citizens across this country really are. I'm proud to see the American people.
So this was what Vivek had to say. So at the time, they were raising funds to pay for his defense. So Vivek had actually donated towards it. But yeah, so those were some of the things that came out after on Jordan Neely and what he had done. So Robbie Starbuck, I don't know if you follow him. I highly recommend you do. He's one of the guys who's been going after companies that have DEI initiatives. He's actually gotten them to pull their initiatives off, like John Deere, that motorcycle company. I'm having a brain fart. I talked about them earlier. Harley Davidson, a whole bunch of them have pulled. Walmart is the recent one to pull the DI initiative. So he talks about these race baiting issue. A lot of people have said, like, if the guy, if Daniel was black, you wouldn't have seen this go to trial, go to court, or he wouldn't have been charged. And you know what's interesting is there was other people who helped Daniel who were black, and they didn't get charged. They didn't get added as a party to the offense. They didn't, even though they helped Daniel. So it just goes to show this was like a race issue. And they try to paint Daniel as like this racist guy. He's just someone who stepped up. I don't know if you're aware of this, or anyone who's been in like a emergent first responder or army type train. It's in our core. We don't just stand there and watch something happen, bad things happen to other people. It's in our core and in our nature to step in to try to help, even if it's a great peril to us. And most people who are in the army, most people who are a police officer, even when not on duty, that's still a core nature to us. We can't even shut it off. Like, I've had many situations where I've stepped into things because I saw somebody was going to get hurt, and could it have turned badly for me? Yeah, but I can't even shut it off even if I want to. It's part of my core nature. And I think for Daniel, it's the same thing. He saw that people were getting threatened, people were getting scared, and he stepped in to do something to try to protect those people. I don't think he went in there and thinking, "Oh, I'm going to hurt this man," or it was like a rage thing or a racist thing. When you look, like, he's actually helping protect people of color who are on that train. So, but that's not what the media wants to portray. That's not what they're trying to portray. But, and I've seen the video and stuff, and seeing how he handled the situation. And seeing what the witnesses have said, I think it was a very huge miscarry of justice, the fact that he was actually charged. I think it was politically motivated, and that's that. And you're seeing the aftermath to his acquittal prove just that. You have Black Lives Matter basically saying that Jordan Neely is the next George Floyd, so to speak. So, but and they're kind of idolizing this man who is not a good person, who shouldn't have been out on the streets to begin with. He should have been in jail. But Robbie Starbuck talks a bit about and gives a lot of facts on this, and I'm going to share it with you guys here. So the left wanted Jordan Neely to be their new George Floyd, but he's actually going to wake people up to how they've worked to create racial division and violence. If media or politicians made you think Daniel Penny was a racist killer, read this and ask yourself, what else have they lied to you about? He makes a really good point here. Jordan Neely was a criminal who should have been in prison. He once tried to kidnap a 7-year-old girl. He beat a 64-year-old woman and a 67-year-old woman on separate occasions. The 67-year-old woman had a broken nose and a fractured orbital bone from the beating, along with several severe damage to the back of her head. Neely had a warrant for his arrest at the time of his death due to that beating. Democrats let him out on a lenient sentence multiple times, despite him clearly being a danger to society. Fact 2. Neely was threatening people on the subway, including threats to kill people. A black man helped Daniel Penny to subdue Jordan Neely. Oh, and Neely was still alive when police got to the scene after the chokehold. So Neely didn't die during the chokehold, wasn't dead when the police arrived. He was still alive when the police arrived. There were Black and Latino jurors who heard 40 witnesses and saw all the evidence. They said he was not guilty today. So it wasn't just white people who made him not guilty. Daniel Penny was protecting a black woman whose witness statement was extremely favorable to Daniel, along with other women on the subway. Daniel Penny is a hero, and so is the black man who helped him. Nothing about Neely's death was racial on the part of Daniel Penny. What was racial was how the legacy media overlooked the facts to support the left's activism because Neely's black skin was able to be exploited for their gain. What the left and many legacy media did with this case was racist and divisive. What Daniel did on that subway was human nature for a protector. Never forget that people of all backgrounds who were there during the event united Daniel. He very well may have saved lives that day. Very good point. And then he shares some of the information. He had 42 prior arrests. And that's the ones for the things he got caught with, not the things that he's done. Trouble history with violent attacks on traffickers in New York City before disturbed man reportedly threatened passenger. Okay, so Daniel Penny was a Marine vet. This is a video. She said, I don't give this is a witness who was saying what Neely was saying at the time. She said, I was scared S-less. I don't want to swear on my show. She said this after she thanked the Marine veteran for stepping in. How many times do we watch situations where people get hurt and people wonder, why aren't people doing anything about it? Like, why aren't people stepping in to protect? We see that all the time now. It's because of cases like this where people like Daniel step in and then they get persecuted and threatened and put in jail, and their lives completely ruined because they stepped in to protect. All I see when I see this type of case, I see more people when they see someone in need, needing help, that they're not going to step in. They're going to be, I don't want to be a Daniel. I don't want to be treated the way Daniel was. I don't want to go to jail. And they're not going to step in. And I think we forget the ramification that this is going to have on all Americans as a whole. Did Daniel get off on this? He was acquitted, yes. But this has been going for how many years? And now you have people like from activist group, Black Lives Matter group, saying that they're going to do vigilante justice. They're going to find him and kill Daniel. Like, that's happening. Like, his life was forever changed and ruined for so long. I don't know if it's going to stay that way. I don't know if he's going to have more opportunity in the future, but that's a fact. Now, people looking at that are going to be like, I won't step in. I won't help because I might be Daniel Pennied. And that's a fact. Now, how is that going to affect society as a whole going forward? I don't know. I don't know. I'm just looking at the comments here. Maria said, do you mean the tweet that's saying those fleeing persecution, terror, and war, Canadians will welcome you regardless of your faith? Diversity is our strength. Yes, that tweet. I'm gonna search it. And that's the one I was talking about earlier that Trudeau said. Now, there's another thing that I didn't title. I'm going to cover a couple more things. We're going to go quickly through it, though. But I wanted to share this one with you. It's a video. I got to go back and find where I have it here. Yeah, there you go. So it's just an example of insane government spending. And there's all these investigation or inquiries happening right now on some of the spending in Canada. And one of my friends is being interviewed here. I'm just gonna Chris Sims, she's with the Taxpayers Federation. So they're interviewing Taxpayers Federation on some of the government waste. And I really wanted to share this because it's insane how much money the government is wasting on ridiculous things. And this is just one of those things that I wanted to share with my viewers.
Thank you very much. I think I still had a bit over a minute.
1 minute, 30 seconds, yeah, sorry.
Okay. It was recently revealed that the government spent over $970,000 to produce a podcast that ended up only having 229 subscribers. That's a lot of dollars per subscriber. I'm wondering if, and this was specifically Stats Canada that had paid this close to $1 million. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts or feedback about, nearly $1 million spent to produce a podcast that many people do from their phones, walking down the street, whatever the case is, for virtually no cost. Yet the government spent $1 million, yet only garnered a subscriber base of 229. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts or feelings about that.
So off the top, quickly, I actually thought I misheard that when I first heard about it. I thought it was government funding other people's podcasts, whatever it was. But no, this was a government department's podcast. It is astonishing that they're spending a nickel on that. And I'm going to turn this over to my colleague. He's the investigative journalist for the CTF, Ryan Thorpe. Ryan, you were doing some digging on that. It was astonishing to see.
Yeah, so.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Oh.
And you only have 15 seconds, thanks.
I'll just add quickly that we dug up these records. The costs are ridiculous. They're producing podcasts that no Canadian would ask or be willing to pay for. It's
What?
reflected in that
I wanna
subscriber count, and it is clearly
Participate
a
in a
massive
tax
waste of our money.
podcast. Almost $1 million. Not quite, but almost. And they're not paying current podcasters to talk about the issues. No. They decided they were going to create a studio. I just find that so ridiculous because when I look at how much it cost me for my studio, so I have like lightings, I have several cameras. I'm only using one right now, but if I have interviewers, I have several cameras. But the idea that it cost $1 million and they thought that was a good idea and they got what was it? 229 people listened to it. That's the Canadian government. If you don't follow Chris already, Chris Sims here's her profile. KRIS_SIMS. I met Chris would have been a couple years ago where was it? Was it in Edmonton? I've met her quite a few times, but the one time we actually got to chat, her and I have a lot in common. But yeah, I met her a few years ago. It was in Edmonton. Sean Newman had like a big event where he had speakers come in and stuff. And the night before, he had get to know other influential people and stuff. So there was all these influential people within the conservative freedom type movement there. And I got to meet a lot of those people. Chris Sims was one of them. But yeah, so if you don't follow her already, I highly recommend you do. I'm going to see if she'll come on my show soon. Maybe we could have an episode where she can just talk about the government wasting that's happening. But yeah, I thought that was so ridiculous. Another thing I want to share that I thought was hilarious is a tweet by Andrew Lawton. So Andrew Lawton just won the nomination race in a riding. Let's see, what's the name of the riding? Elgin, St. Thomas, London South. So he's not an MP yet. There'll be an election that will happen in that riding, and he'll be the candidate for the Conservative Party of Canada. But Andrew is one of the funniest. He's one of the funniest person I've met. I've met him many times in person. He's actually really, really brilliant as well. So he says this joke, and I laughed out loud when I read it. I once saw Jack Mead Singh riding his bike away from Parliament Hill, and I marveled at how such a physical feat was possible for a man without a spine. Let's hope he gets one for Christmas and Canadians can get an election once and for all. This is epic type of tweet, I find, for someone who's running for government because it's funny, it's catchy, it'll go viral. It's actually like really good marketing. So I saw that and I thought it was hilarious. I don't know what the video is, but you know what? Let's just listen to it for fun here. I've just got to open it on the other screen. Might as well listen to it. I'm just going to switch the screens up. Eventually, I'll have a button that I can just push that will switch from one to the other. I just haven't done it yet. Here you go.
I don't want a Liberal government. I don't want Justin Trudeau as Prime Minister. We have absolutely ripped up the agreement with Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau is playing political games, and the only person that's winning is himself. He has come across very out of touch. He's ignored a lot of the problems people are going through. People are absolutely fed up with and done with Justin Trudeau and the Liberals. The Liberals have let people down again and again, and they are done. Why are you working with Justin Trudeau when he's doing such a bad job? I got to tell you, it is not easy. We're ready for whenever election comes. We're going to vote against any measure that attacks working people. We're going to be voting in favor of the budget. I've received some openness to fixing the problems that I've outlined. And we're not going to let the Liberal government off the hook. The next election, people have a choice. I stand by my words. Trudeau has let you down. Trudeau has let you down and does not deserve another choice. And it is really clear to me, there's mounting evidence that Justin Trudeau and the Liberals were just too weak. I stand by my words. Trudeau has let you down. Trudeau has let you down and does not deserve another choice.
Whoever did that video, it's really well done. Oh, it's from Pierre.
I don't want.
Let's see. I haven't read it. Jagmeet Singh won't call an election. Why? Because he works for Trudeau, who guarantees him a pension next year. Trudeau gets power, Singh gets his pension, you get the bill. Signed to fire Trudeau and Singh and call for a carbon tax election. Interesting. Really interesting. Oh, you guys got to see my messages. I'm a part of a few fun groups, chat groups. Oh, I got a message request. I wonder if it's one of those accounts that I've had a lot of accounts message me. And Dan, if you don't follow Dan already, I was talking to him about kettlebell training. I'm starting kettlebell training. I actually signed up for like a course on it. But yeah, and I have a few other groups that are really fun where we talk about all things politics. And but yeah, interesting. Really interesting. Spineless Sing. I'm going to see what else. I think that's it. I've got one last video. It's a video. That is a feel-good video. I'm going to share that with you guys and then I'll end the episode. Here you go. Sometimes to get it started. I saw this and it made me smile. So there's an orchestra playing, and he doesn't want to disturb them with the construction, so he's matching the nail gun. Have you ever done that kind of construction? It looks like it's a roof. A roof of some sort. But yeah, I've done that kind, but I never nailed it. It was a screw gun. So it would screw each screw. I did it actually on this floor I'm sitting in. I built our house. I had a bit of help too. I hired some workers to help, but yeah, I think actually this floor might have been the one that I was working on directly. This one here. Yeah. Anyways, it was a feel good story. I thought it was cute. That's someone who puts a lot of thought into their work and are considerate of what's happening around them. I thought it was funny. And I'm just gonna see if I got any comments to highlight here. Trudeau had a video. I haven't seen it, but Darcy says Trudeau had a video saying he would be personally responsible for any criminal activity done by refugee. I'd love to see that video if there is one. Not saying I don't believe you, but I would love to see that video. It doesn't shock me. Yeah, so that's it for your episode today. Are we going to see further drama between Trump and Trudeau? I don't know. But I'm heading to Phoenix, Arizona next week to the America Fest is happening. So Turning Point USA is putting it on. So I bought my flights a few days ago. I wasn't sure I was going to go, but yeah, it is. I'm leaving on the 18th, but it starts the 19th to the 22nd in Phoenix, Arizona. So Turning Point USA America Fest. I'm heading there. Hopefully going to get to meet some people. If you're watching and you're going to be there, let me know. I was thinking of maybe going as the unofficial ambassador to Canada. Put like a pin or something, unofficial ambassador to Canada, or maybe get a t-shirt made or something. But I'm probably going to wear a suit, so I probably won't wear a t-shirt made, but I thought, well, I could take advantage of this new found like interest in relationship between Canada and the US. Anyways, so yeah, I'll be doing that next week. So I don't know if I'll be able to do like a full episode or a full show every day, because my hotel room is like still within like walking distance, but I don't think I'll be leaving the conference to come and do a live. I might try to just do like live feed from there so that I still do something. So yeah, I fly out early on the 18th. So that's next Wednesday. I'll be flying most of the day. I'm going to stop. I think I stop in Vancouver or Calgary, one or the other, because it's not a direct flight, not on Wednesdays. They have them on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but not Wednesday. And so I might do like a live feed from the airport. We'll see if I can manage it. If I can, I will. If not, I might just post some content like on all the platforms. I did do an interview with Sean Noble when he was here for our training. We had a training session for like all the people who are running for city council, school board, as well as like provincially elected official. We had like a big training session for all conservatives in Regina, and Sean Noble was one of the ones who came and spoke at it. And he has a podcast episode called Light Beer, Dark Money. And it's a play on words, because the left likes to attack him as the prince of dark money. But anyways, he came and did an interview, and my sound wasn't working. I had a mic, it was working in my ear, but for some reason it didn't record my mic. And so I can still hear my voice through his mic, but then I have to up it and you hear all the background noise. So I've been trying to AI clean it. It's not great. It's not perfect, but I might still post the interview just because I think you'll still get the gist of it. The things that he shared was really, really important. We talked about Kerry Lake and the election that was happening there. This was before the the American election, and he talked about his prediction, which were bang on as to what happened. So he's from Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, that area. Anyway, so I'm going on his show on the 18th. So once I arrive, I fly there. I'm going to be one of the guests on his show. And then yeah, so maybe I'll ask him, see if he wants to share that live. I don't know if he's ever done a live episode, but maybe he will. So that could be for the 18th in the afternoon. And yeah, and then the rest of the day I'll be at the conference. So I don't know what the rules are going to be, if I can bring my camera or what, but I'm going to bring one with me there to the hotel. Even if I just end up doing interviews with people that I meet there, we'll see. And yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to escape. I'm looking outside to the winter. I have a window there to the outside winter cold. So yeah, I'll be going there. If you know someone who's going that you think I should meet, let me know in the comments. I'm really excited about it. I got like VIP tickets, so hopefully there'll be meet and greets too. So yeah, so we'll see what will happen. I'm going to be going as the unofficial ambassador to Canada. But who knows? Maybe there's some of my Canadian friends are going. If you're interested in going, flights are actually pretty reasonable right now. I guess if you don't wait too last minute. And yeah, it's America Fest on the 19th to the 22nd in Phoenix, Arizona. But yeah, I'm going to end this episode now. If you're watching me for the very first time, I do a daily live show, usually between 12 and 1:30. Obviously, this went on a little bit longer. I'm a mom of 4, so my kids take priority. So that's why it's not always like on the dot at 12. I'm going to try to be a little bit better at once I get kind of the flow of things. I've been doing it for a couple weeks now. And yeah, I share about world news, political stuff. I share about my faith as a Christian as well, and my perspective from a Christian perspective. And yeah, so I do that daily. So it's I call it your daily dose of salt and light with me, Nadine Ness. And so if you're not following already, follow me on all platform. It's at Nadine or Nadine G Ness would be on Facebook, Nadine G Ness on Twitter, on YouTube as well. I'm working on a website, but I don't have it finished yet. And yeah, so follow me back, subscribe, whatever the button is for the platform. Subscribe on Twitter is different. I don't have subscription approved yet. So I've been waiting a year. If you're one of those people that's connected to Twitter and you know how to get that approved, send me a DM, because I've been waiting a year. I've like reached out to several different avenues and it's still not approved. But I know some Canadians who applied long after me and theirs is approved. So I don't quite know how to get that figured out, but we're waiting. I'm waiting patiently, impatiently waiting. But yeah, I will let you guys go. You guys go and have a good afternoon, and we'll see you again tomorrow around 12 Saskatchewan time for a next episode. I don't know yet what I'm talking about. There are probably going to be more Trump Trudeau drama, so I'll probably cover that tomorrow. Anyways, have a good afternoon, guys.